Alright, what's up guys, this is Jake, and in this video I'm going to be going over 3 ways that you can go ahead and boost your conversion rates for your Shopify e-commerce store. So with that said, let's go ahead and just get right into the first way. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you improve your site's performance, which is primarily going to be focused on improving your loading speed. And this little graphic right here showcases why it's so important. So we can see that here, as page load time goes from 1 second to 3 seconds, the probability of bounce increases to 32%. And what bounce means is when somebody clicks on your page and then immediately leaves the page in under 2 seconds. And we can see here that as the loading speed continues to get slower to 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, the bounce rate is increasing drastically. So if people are clicking on your site and then leaving before it even loads, then you are losing out on a lot of potential customers. So making sure that your site is loading very quickly is going to be one of the best ways that you can go ahead and increase your conversion rate without doing any other changes to your products or anything like that. So there's a couple ways that you can improve load speed, which we're going to take a look at right now. So the first one is by choosing a fast theme. So if your store is already set up and designed, then it might be a little bit too late for this if you don't want to go ahead and commit to doing an entire redesign. But if you are still choosing a design and theme and you're still in the early stages of setting up your store, then this is definitely something you want to look at. You want to make sure that whatever theme you pick is a fast, responsive theme. You want to make sure that it's not very heavy and chunky, and you want to make sure that it's been coded well, so that way it won't impede your loading times, because the theme is going to be one of the biggest things that impacts your loading speed. The next thing that you can do is to go ahead and compress images. So you can do this either manually or with an app like Crush.pix. And what compressing images does is you're just going ahead and shrinking the file size of the actual image. So when you go ahead and do this, it's going to mean that the user trying to visit your site is going to have less data to actually load, because the images on the site are going to be smaller. So this is definitely something that's going to help with loading speed a lot as well. The next thing that you can do is go ahead and minimize your app usage. So you want to make sure that you're not using like 30 or 40 different apps throughout your store. Everyone's going to use a decent amount of apps because apps are very useful. However, you don't want to take it overboard and use like 30 or 40 apps. And if there are certain apps that you are no longer using, you want to make sure that they are deactivated, so that way there's not extra code that's cluttering up your website. And following up on that, you want to make sure that you clean up any code that you have. Sometimes if you install an app, and even if you uninstall the app, sometimes the code will actually still be left inside of your theme files. So if you don't know how to edit this yourself, you may want to get a developer to come in and clean up some of the excess code that could just be completely unused code that's just sitting there slowing down your website loading speed. So this is definitely something you'd want to look into as well. The next thing you want to do is to use AMP pages. So AMP stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages, and you can go ahead and set this up through, there's a couple of Shopify apps, I don't remember off the top of my head, that are in the App Store that you can go ahead and just search AMP pages in the App Store that allow you to set up these accelerated mobile pages, which is going to help to increase your loading speed specifically on mobile. And since a lot of people are buying products off of mobile nowadays, this is definitely something that's really important to go ahead and do. And the last tip I'm going to give you for improving loading speed is going to be to use system default fonts. So fonts that are going to be default for the majority of systems out there. So if you're using a lot of like fancy fonts that someone else's device doesn't already have preloaded, then whenever they click on their site, they're going to have to go ahead and actually download that font as the site is loading. So it's going to drastically increase the loading time for the user. And then another thing you want to avoid is using too many different fonts on your site. So if you use a bunch of different fonts, this is also going to slow down your loading speed as well. So some of the system font families here are Mono, Sans Serif, and Serif. So that's how you can go ahead and improve your load speed. And the second thing that we can do to go ahead and increase our conversion rates for our Shopify store is to actually use the Norton shopping guarantee. So we're going to go ahead and jump over here to my demo store to take a look at what the Norton shopping guarantee actually is. So essentially what it is in its most basic form is it's going to be a trust badge. So it's going to be adding trust and authority to your website. So it's going to help customers feel that shopping and checking out on your website is going to be a safe and secure process. So we can go ahead and see that the shopping guarantee is down here in the bottom left corner. So if I click on it and open it up here, we can see that with the guarantee, the customer actually gets some purchase protection. So the main difference between the Norton shopping guarantee and other trust badges that have been around on Shopify for a while is that the Norton shopping guarantee is more than just a simple badge that shows up on the store, but it's actually a guarantee that goes along with it. So you can see that every customer is going to get a $1,000 purchase guarantee, the $100 low price guarantee, and the $10,000 identity theft protection guarantee right here. And we can see what each one of these represents here by looking at the details below. And if we go ahead and click on these FAQs right here, we can see some additional information that the guarantee presents. And what I want to highlight here is we can come down here where it says, how do I receive the benefits? And we can see that this guarantee is automatically issued once you have made a purchase and is provided to you free by Sample Store, which is the Sample Store right here. And there's no cost to the customer for these benefits, and it's not a subscription or anything. This is a lot different than your standard trust badge because it actually provides a lot of additional benefits for the customer, not to mention that Norton is a very trusted and well-known brand throughout the internet space as it is. So a lot of people will see this badge and they will feel a lot more comfortable with their purchase and feel like this site is more reputable, because one of the main issues with people being able to create sites so easily with platforms like Shopify is that there's so many new stores coming out every day. So from a consumer point of view, no one really knows who to trust. So that's where using the Norton shopping guarantee can come in. So when you install this on your store, it's going to show up in a couple of places. So we can see here by default, it's going to show up here in the bottom left corner, but it's also going to show up on your product page as well. So if I click on one of these products here, we can see that it shows up once again right here below the add to cart and the buy it now button. And we can open it up and we can see that it brings up the same thing once again. And if I were to go ahead and add this to cart here and go to the cart screen, we can see that it shows up here on the cart screen as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick example of a very large company using the Norton shopping guarantee here. So we can see Sleep Number here, which is a publicly traded company, is also using the guarantee, as you can see down here in the bottom left. So if I were to go ahead and click on that here, we can see that they have the $10,000 identity theft protection, the $1,000 purchase guarantee, and the $100 lowest price guarantee right here. And we can see that they have been guaranteed since October of 2018. So this is definitely something I would recommend using, and it's very easy to go ahead and set up and install. All you have to do is paste in 2 snippets of JavaScript code into your store, one directly into your theme and the other into the additional script section under your checkout settings. So it's very easy to set up, and it's going to provide an instant boost to trust and credibility for your store. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. You can start a 14-day free trial with the Norton shopping guarantee by clicking the first link in the description down below. So moving on to the third thing you can do to increase your conversion rates in your Shopify store, and that's going to be to improve your store design and or improve or alter your layout. So some things that you can actually implement to do this are going to be to firstly ensure that your site is very easy to navigate and not confusing. So I'm sure you've been out there on different sites where you land on the site and you just have no idea what's going on. There's just a bunch of stuff everywhere, you don't know what to do, and you end up just leaving the site. So you want to make sure that you're pretty honest and self-aware with yourself about how your site is, and if your site is very confusing and it's not even easy to navigate, then this is definitely something that you want to go ahead and alter, because this is going to be huge when it comes to conversion rate. The next thing you want to do is make sure that your product pages have a clear call to action above the fold. So this is normally done by default in most Shopify themes, but sometimes people edit and customize stuff. So you want to make sure that, people have a buy button or an add to cart button that's going to be above the fold, meaning they see it without having to scroll down. This is something that's going to help with conversions as well. Another thing you can do is to make sure that you include reviews and or testimonials on your product page as well, because this is going to be another way that you can go ahead and add a bit of trust for the customer. And lastly, you want to make sure that you have clear and concise copy throughout your site and product pages to ensure the customer knows exactly what they're getting without having to spend 20 minutes trying to figure it out. So really quickly, I just want to look at a couple examples of bad landing pages and designs versus a few good designs and layouts. So if we take a look at this page right here, we can see that this was a screenshot of cruise.co.uk from a while ago, back in 2013, and we can see that it's completely confusing. You don't really know what's going on. It's almost like looking at a fireworks display. And you can see here that the majority of people that land on this page are going to have no idea what's going on and are going to be extremely confused and probably just get annoyed and leave the site. So while this is an extreme example, this is still something that a lot of sites tend to do, and you want to make sure that you're not doing this yourself. So taking a look at another example now, we can see cruise.com, so another cruise site, and this is their updated site today. We can see that this site essentially has the same problem as that screenshot, where there's just so much stuff going on. It's very confusing. It all blends together. It's just a huge cluster of just random information, and you really don't have any idea what's going on. This is definitely not how you want your store site layout to be. You don't want it to be this confusing. You want it to be very simple and to the point, because this is going to cause people to get confused, and if people have to put in more effort on a site, they're likely not going to do it, and they're just going to leave. Another example right here is going to be a landing page for one of Delta's reward programs, so Sky Miles. We can see here that this landing page doesn't even have like a semblance of a title or anything. It just has this random image here on top, and then we have this box here. There's no like title header. It doesn't really tell us what this page is going to be about or anything. It just kind of starts off randomly. We can see that this part should have probably been up top instead of whatever this is going on here. And then we come down and it gets a little bit more normalized here, but then we come down here and we can see that a lot of this stuff is off. We can see there's a big empty gap in space right here. None of this text is even. These buttons should probably be centered if there's not going to be three of them. There's a lot of issues going on with this section right here, and we can see kind of the same thing with these buttons down here. And we can see that this kind of looks off-centered right here compared to how this is actually centered. So there's a lot of things with this landing page that are a bit off. So you want to make sure that your pages aren't looking like this as well. You want to make sure that you're actually being congruent. Now let's take a look at a couple of good examples here. So we have Wink.com here, which is a wine subscription service. And we can see that their landing page is pretty simple and clean. We can see they have this call to action right here, which is to get started. We know exactly what's going on here on this page right away. We have another call to action. We have some social proof. And we can see we have a very nice, they have a lot of fancy effects on here as well. So this is definitely a really good landing page. You don't have to have those fancy effects if you don't want, but it can add a little bit of flair to your site if that's what you want. But the key is that the landing page is very congruent. It all makes sense, and it's very easy to navigate and easy to follow. So another example would be Quip here. They sell toothbrush and oral care products, and we can see that they have their call to action right here. We know exactly what the site is about straight away. It's easy to navigate. It's very simple to follow. The sections flow and make sense. There's good website copy on here. Everything is congruent and organized really well. And we can see that the site looks very clean and fluid. So you can tell that there's a big difference between a site that between a site's layout that's laid out very well and optimally for conversions and a site's layout that is not optimal for conversions. So you want to make sure that you're taking inspiration from the sites that are laid out for good conversions, and it's definitely going to help you overall. So with that said, that's how you can go ahead and boost your conversion rate within your Shopify e-commerce store. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.